What a weekend it was in college football. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Ranieri. It's the early line right here on the SportsGrid network, setting the table for yet another week. And by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, it's going to be week number 10 in college football. It was just week 0. This is why we can't have nice things, because I wish I could just hit the stop button and enjoy this all the way through. But also understand this. We have a lot more college football to go, because if you didn't take a look at the expanded playoff, we're in October right now. You're going to play into November, Joe. You're going to play into December, Joe. You're going to play well into January, feeling like you're going to rival the NFL and the Super Bowl. So we got a lot more football to get to, which includes the AP Top 25 poll. Each and every week, these are going to change. The top 10, Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, and Miami in that top 10. I was joking before here a little bit earlier with Joe behind the scenes. Like Georgia Tech at number 8 hasn't played anybody yet. They don't have anybody on their schedule, which is interesting, but it's a 12-team playoff, Joe. You see who sits there at number 12 in that slot? It's Notre Dame. That's done strategically to make sure the Irish, as long as they don't falter, they'll keep them right in that 12 spot.
Oh, yeah. And they'll be there when it's
Strategy.
all said and done. Make no mistake about it. They will be part of the top 12. And, Georgia Tech quietly flying under the radar, just winning games and, remaining in the top 10. But Vandy is become everyone's, college football playoff darling here in hopes of getting it done here, even though they almost lost that game against Missouri on a Hail Mary that somehow completed but landed, Donnie, about a foot short of the goal line, which is crazy when you think about it.
It is crazy. By the way, if we look at LSU, and Brian Kelly has been fired, we talked about it a couple times today, but now we can get into it a little bit deeper. Understand this, like he left Notre Dame to go to the SEC and go to LSU because he figured bigger budget, maybe a little bit easier to recruit down there, easier to get the kids in school. Remove that from the equation. I always like to have a conversation with, because coaches always want to coach at the pinnacle of their sport. And it's clear the SEC is the pinnacle of the sport. You are going to get a lot more money. But what is your longevity in the SEC? And I'm being honest, like Kirby Smart has some longevity because he's a national champion at Georgia. But if Georgia loses 3 games, like people are like, I got to get rid of this guy. I can't have him. Well, wait a second. He just won a couple. That doesn't matter. Like Dabo Swinney at Clemson is in the ACC. He's not having a good season, but has multiple national championships. It's easy to get if you have a pulse 10-win seasons. I always wonder why, outside of let me challenge myself, why you would ever want to go to the SEC, because your life is not going to be long there as a coach. Like Ed Orgeron won a national championship. They threw that guy out the door. Coaching in the SEC, not good for your lifespan if you want, hey, man, been at this institution 10 years. That doesn't happen that much.
No, and there's a theme here, Donnie, especially when it comes to LSU, because you brought up good old Ed Orgeron there, who was run out of town by this athletic director, Scott Woodward, by the way, who also happens to be the guy that gave Jimbo Fisher a contract for the ages, in which Texas A&M is still paying $76 million when they fired him, thanks to this athletic. How does this athletic director keep getting a job is my question, because he is literally the definition of believing that the grass is absolutely greener on the other side. And guess what, Donnie? It is yet to be greener on the other side with him. So congratulations. You couldn't wait to hire Brian Kelly, the big splashy hire, and you got rid of Ed Orgeron, who was made for LSU football. And look what happens. Yeah, congratulations. Now you're paying this guy $50 million to go away.
As they say, Joe, don't ever mess with family when you get down to LSU at this point. Boy, that was just a match made in hell between that fan base, that coach, and the results that they absolutely got. Now, you want to say, hey, give them a couple years to get back in. In college football, you are expected to get into the college football playoff now that it's 12 teams. If you don't, you're hired to be fired, and that's what happened with Brian Kelly, which then brings us up to the coaching carousel. It's not going to stop spinning, and I keep telling people, there's not rock stars that you could just fill all these spots. LSU, Florida, Penn State, UCLA, Arkansas, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, and Stanford. There's not enough big names to go around, but there is going to be big money to go around for some of these football teams.
Huge. Absolutely huge money to go around. And it's just not listen, every year we have this coaching carousel, but Donnie, usually we don't have this conversation until before bowl time, right? The end of the regular season, and then these jobs become available. The amount of blue blood football programs that have gone the way of forget it. You're starting the season with one guy, and then you're not even allowing them to see it through and finish it. You're firing them mid-season and writing these $50 million checks like it's no big deal is just head scratching. So what is the next guy going to do? What are you going to go year to year? What is the next buyout going to be, Donnie? Because if I'm Lane Kiffin, in my contract, it's going to be $100 million if you don't let me finish this contract. It's that simple. You're going to have to buy me out for $100 million.
Look, Joe, the Los Angeles Angels got it right. There's a turning of the tide. 1 year deals for coaches and managers here. That's the future of the sport, to make sure you get the best out of it. And by the way, we might have had another body stacked up on that pile with Steve Sarkisian pulled out a miracle victory. Here's Steve talking.
I'd love to touch on this, so bear with me for a second, because it really pisses me off that one person can make a report that in turn the entire media sports world runs with as factual, to the point of my agency and my agents have to put a statement out that they never have done. Historically, CAA, Jimmy Sexton, and Ed Manowitz have never do that. But I had to do that to protect my locker room and my team. And I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I thought it was completely unprofessional of that person to put that report out. And the fact that everybody ran with it is borderline embarrassing for the media. And I respect what you guys do. I really do, and everybody else. But the fact that everybody ran that as truth is really embarrassing. Okay, so I've got a small circle when I make decisions on what I do and what I don't do, and nobody would speak on my behalf without me knowing. And so where that report came from, I'd love to talk to that person, because it's absolutely ridiculous.
Why does the press run with that, Joe? Because coaches lie about every single thing in their life, which includes which job they're going to take next. That's why it's out there, Steve. How about that?
Yeah, it's not that hard to figure out. Seen this how many times, Donnie? I mean, we've seen this movie over and over and over again.